Hi guys, Liz here, aka Isabel Shiren, Bondi Babe, Liz for Paris Adored, and all my bots. I'm coming to you from a really beautiful sim today, and my filming is going to be slightly different because I'm going to be coffeeing all over the sim. So I'm not going to be sitting in any one spot because I actually want to really show you this sim. It is called Beskinkta, or Beskinkta, or Beskinkta. I can never say it. I'm terrible, aren't I? And it's part of the LEA 11, which is the Linden Endowment of the Arts Sims. Okay, and I was asked to narrate some of the vocal bits for the sim, which I've done. So you can look at Jackson Red Star's got one of them on his YouTube channel. So if you want to visit that, I'll link to that below. And I'm just like blown away. It's the most amazing story, and it's real. That you will watch and you will explore, and it's actually very poignant. That I do have to say, it's very, very poignant. And I'm not even going to ramble on about what it's about, but I suggest that when the sim does open, that you certainly come and visit. I will leave a link to it underneath this video and in my blog. And once the sim does open, you just have to click that link and visit. But what an amazing sim, and the collaboration here that's gone into getting it up and going. So I will just be sitting at different places around here, and you can enjoy some of the scenery like I am. Yes. Anyhow, let's start today's Coffee with Isa. So yeah, my son has been on a 3 mountain challenge. I got rid of him for 4 days, mind you. It was a 24-hour challenge, but they went for 4 days. So they left me on Thursday and came back last night. He can barely walk, but suffice to say, he can barely walk. Blisters upon blisters upon blisters. But I have to say, as much as I've enjoyed having my space for the 4 days, I've actually really missed him. And more so because actually I was worried, because the 3 mountain challenge is to climb the 3 of the highest peaks in the United Kingdom. So they started with Ben Nevis in Scotland, climbed that. So they got there late Thursday night, had dinner and did what boys do, or young men do. I expect drinking, smoking, out clubbing, God knows. And then on Friday afternoon, late afternoon, 5 p.m, they started at the bottom of Ben Nevis. My son, before he left, it made me laugh. Before he left, he actually said, yeah, I said, are you sure you're going to be able to do this? And he said, yeah. It's only an hour and a half to the top and then an hour and a half back. And his dad, who's my ex, said, I think it's longer than that. And he said, oh, no, we've been training, we'll be able to do it. No, it's about 4-5 hours. Up and then down. Well, anyhow, what they did was they climbed. So I guess they would have come down at about 2 a.m. They would have made it down again, I'm assuming. And then they would have got back in their cars, and then they would have driven to the next one, which I can't remember what order he told me, whether it was Snowdon or Caffel Pike. And the same thing, they would have climbed, come down, got in their car and driven again. So the whole idea is that they don't stop, they don't sleep, they don't stop, and they climb this in 24 hours, which they've done, with 1 hour to spare apparently. So I'm just a little bit proud. So yeah, I'm just like, oh, I struggle climbing stairs these days. I mean, I walk up my stairs and go, oh, Jesus Christ, I need to move. So the thought of climbing 3 mountains is kind of like, wow, yeah, okay. So yeah, that's what's happened this week. It's just been, yeah. The other thing is, like I said at the beginning of this film, I did a narration for a video, and I heard it very, very late Saturday night, so in the early hours of the UK time, Sunday mornings, because I was up late and I was in bed and I just sort of playing with my phone, and then I saw it flash on my Facebook wall and I was like, oh, I went and watched it. And the strangest thing is, was when I hear myself, because generally I actually don't listen to my my talks. So when I do a video, I tend to not listen to what I'm saying afterwards. I'll review the video in terms of looking at the footage, but I turn the sound down because I don't like hearing myself speak. So this is the first time I've actually listened to myself speak, and I thought, Liz, you sound quite serious. Well, it is a serious subject, but it was really surreal to hear myself. And then when I landed, because obviously I've got an early pass, so I'm filming here today, or yesterday, should I say, but I filmed, you're seeing it today, but I filmed it yesterday. I had an early pass, and then when you land, you click on this panel that you can watch as you first land, and it's that video. And then when you walk through and you come to the monk, you click on another one, and then there's the remainder of my narration there and the video. And it's just surreal to step into something and do that. I was just like, I've never heard myself before. I quite like listening to myself. No, I'm not going to listen to myself any more than that. It's just too much. It's weird, isn't it? When you hear your own self speak, it's kind of different. It's just kind of sort of an out of body experience. It's just bizarre. But generally, I don't listen to myself because I can't bear listening to myself, if that makes sense. Yeah. Well, what kind of week have you guys had? I'll tell you about my week, though. It's been a really rubbish one, honestly. In the real world, it's been an awful one. Atmosphere at work has just been dire. I touched on it last week, but it's been even more dire. And I don't know. I hope it changes soon, because people are sort of really low, and it has like a sort of a cumulative effect, like dominoes. One person's down, and slowly all the little bricks come down, and that's kind of what's going on at the moment. And it's not nice to be amongst it, because you're at work for quite a fair bit of your life, really. I'm up and ready for work. I start getting ready for work at 5. I'm up and showering and blah 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 blah, and I get home about 5:30, and then I have to faff around doing some of my housework, and then I can chill. So it's quite a bit of time that actually is dedicated to your work life. And so when your work life isn't great, it does have an impact on your personal life, because that down feeling, that sort of low kind of crappy sort of feeling, it pervades into your personal life, which I found this last week. I've come home and I felt a bit like, I don't really want to go back tomorrow. And it does, it claws its way into my evenings, which I really need to address. And I think I need to address it with some of the people at work and say, hey, you know what, let's concentrate on something else rather than the negatives, because the negatives are starting to really outweigh the positives. And it's affecting my life, so it must be affecting their lives as well. So we'll see about that. Yes. I'm also, I don't know if I mentioned it. I've always been a union rep. I've actually now moved to another union. Well, I've been part of 2 unions for a couple of years, but I've been a rep for one union, Unison. I'm going to tell you about them. And when I went through my difficult time, and I'll just recap on that, I had someone commit suicide that I was representing. From the moment that happened in 2015, I've never felt so unsupported by an organisation. So both my employer and the union, Unison, totally unsupported. I was kind of like left on my own, and it's taken me 2 years through that, and then through a data breach which related to what that poor lady, to find my way back again. I am no longer a rep for Unison. However, I have now been appointed as a rep for Unite. And their attitude is completely different, I have to say. You know, from the minute I've met some of the one regional officer, from the minute I've met them, I've realised there's a real shift in how they look after their reps and how they interact with their reps. I don't know that if Unison is like that entirely throughout the United Kingdom, but my regional Unison have very poor techniques in how they look after the people that volunteer, because we are volunteers. You know, these regional officers are highly paid, and I mean highly paid. You want to go and do a freedom of information request on their pays, please do. They're highly paid, and most of us in the workplace, we are only paid our salaries for the jobs that we do. I'm sort of, I guess, not the greatest paid. I'm just, you know, office worker, come finance, in local government. So you can imagine the pay grading there. And what I do for the union is voluntarily done. So the stress that I go under and all of that thing is volunteered. And to find that you don't get support during that role is actually such a letdown. And also, one thing I have learnt, unions advertise how they're going to be there for you and they're going to stand by your side. I would always suggest making sure that you've got household insurance that incorporates legal assistance. One thing I have found is that the unions only support you in certain claims, certain tribunal claims, but they and then I've noted this from a few people I've supported as well who've been left basically in the gutter. They will only support you in cases where the lawyers feel that they've got more than a 60 to 70% chance of winning, so that those people that find themselves out of work and really thinking that they're going to get help from the union, make sure you've got your own legal clause in your home insurances, because you can actually draw back on that. I've actually seen solicitors who've needed the union, who have not been able to get union assistance, yet they've gone to lawyers, which is kind of funny, isn't it? Ironic, really, who've taken their cases on and are with a positive. So it's when you think about when you belong to a union, and I know in America it's so different from here, but when you belong to a union, you expect that it's like an insurance policy. You pay into it every month, so you pay your subsidized membership, and that is like a guarantee for the assistance you get. So that's a guarantee that you will get good advice, that when you need support, you will have someone next to you for that support. People like me in the workplace, we do our best. Seriously, it's so stressful being a union rep at times. I'm one of those reps who goes through the emotions with a person. I can't seem to help that because I guess I'm a people person and I feel for them. So I go through all of that with them all the while I'm with them, supporting them. But when I need help with their case and I go to the union, I expect that help. But what I have seen is you don't really get it. The union actually don't really support unless that they can be assured that there's some sort of positive outcome. Otherwise, they won't touch it. And I saw that in my own situation. And frankly, it's just after many years of being a union person, and I've always been in unions since I first started working, it was quite disappointing to see. And I don't know if that's indicative of one union or it's indicative of how unions are, but I will always say I believe in unions and I believe you should join them, but I also believe always have a backup. So always make sure your household contents insurance, or you've got some sort of policy in case you lose your job, because you might find that they're not there for you. And that's just something I'm saying because I think it's important. And a lot of people don't realise that. And it's something I've learned. Anyhow, yes. So that was me rambling on. But just to, so I'm now a Unite rep. And, oh my God, I've been invited to all these things. And the thing is with Unite is all over the country. And I'm like, oh my God. So I need to try and factor all this in, but I'm actually excited to be doing it again. I haven't touched union work since I had my mini breakdown last year in September. I have not touched anything apart from one person in March this year that required my help. I've just stayed away from it because for my own peace of mind and my own healing, I needed to stay away from it because it is sort of invades into you as a person when you're supporting people. It's not an easy thing to do. I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, you go in and you're bullshitting. I'm not one of those union reps. I don't go in and go shouting the odds and want to put down things and strike. I don't do that. I know there are some, my God, but no, I don't do that. But I do get involved with the people I support, and if they're in the wrong, I do tell them. I will support them still, but I'll tell them, you're in the wrong. Let's mitigate this. Let's get you out of this situation. But you might have to accept that you are in the wrong, and there are things that you're going to have to do to correct it. So I never lie to anyone and support them and challenge the workplace and say, no, you're wrong, when actually they could be right. So there is two sides of it. But what's awful is when I watch people, the effects workplace stuff has on them. For example, the lady that took her life, that was incredible for me. And not incredible as in it's a great thing, incredible in terms of the effect it had on me. It took me, but to be honest, it still affects me because it's really hard to know that there was nothing you could do to stop this. There was nothing I could do to stop it. So yes, it still affects me, but I can deal with it now. I can sort of, move forward and accept that that happened, and I'll never be able to change it. But I certainly am conscious of it. Whenever I deal with anyone, I'm conscious of the signs and seeing how people are and pointing them in the direction of going to their doctors, going for counselling, whatever it needs. I'm certainly, definitely pointing people in the right direction because I do not ever want to see that or experience it again. It certainly has a mark on you for a long time, and I think it will have a mark on me for a very long time to come. I've seen someone else very close to it, but they're under a good deal of counselling. But you got to ask yourself, how the hell does an employer have a right to make you go to that point where you feel that work affects your life that much? How the hell? How dare they? How dare they intrude your life and the way you feel about yourself? Yes, of course, people that take their lives, there will always be something going on. But when an employer is aware, and this is the thing I need to make clear, the employer was aware that this woman was at risk. I told them in the end of November in 2014, I said to them, listen here, if you don't do something now, there's going to be a terrible outcome. I'm telling you now. They ignored it. They kept ignoring it every time I said it. And then in January, she did. And she left a letter. She didn't do this for any other reason than what she said in her letter, which actually pointed directly to the employer. And the same with this other person that I've encountered, the same thing. It's how they've been made to feel, the fact that they feel that their whole lives are closing in. And this is the effect work has on you, because you spend so much time of your life at work. If the situation is not good, and if you're vulnerable at that time, that can have such a big knock-on effect on you. So when people talk about stress, workplace bullies, feeling that they're not doing good enough, don't ignore them. Listen to them. Be there for them, because that person, you don't know what's going on through their head. You don't know. That person that you're taunting in the workplace, that person that you're not listening to, you actually don't know the effect that you're having on them. And I think it's so important that people think about this. It's so important to understand that then not everyone's like you. Not everyone will think the same thought process as you. You don't know that what's happening in someone's home life when they leave the workplace. So that negativity that they're experiencing in the workplace, you don't know when they go home if their life is negative as well. My God, if your life is 24/7 negative, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what is the point? I'm so passionate about this, and I didn't mean to go on about it in today's coffee, but I think my coffee, as you know, isn't about virtual fashion and stuff like that. It's about real subjects, and this is one of those real subjects that's touched me for quite a while. So yeah. Now one of my little YouTube people whose name I will not disclose has told me something. Apparently, we have a date on Monday nights. Yes, we do. We have a date on Monday nights, and he will go home and he will make his dinner and he will sit down and he will have his meal with me, and he watches my Coffee with Isa. That's actually really warmed me to know that someone has made me into a regular sort of view is really lovely. It's pretty, I just think that's pretty cool. Thank you. So I wanted to say to that person, thank you very much for inviting me into your home on a Monday evening and doing dinner. But can I let you know that I do like a roast lamb now and then, so if you could just pop a roast lamb on and a few spuds, and I don't mind a Brussels sprout, and I don't mind a mange tout and carrots, and I do love a thick gravy. Okay? Oh yeah. But yes, actually I did meet that person in World. We had a bit of a natter, and he was asking me about my my online dating stuff, and I was saying, oh Jesus Christ, just telling him about my online dating. Online dating, oh my God. Do you know what? Every single day I get stuff, and every single day I just go, really? Oh, really? And this last week, I've actually tried to ignore a lot of the messages I've got, because sometimes I just want to pick up my mobile phone and throw it. I really do. Some of the stuff that people send me, I just think, are you really looking for a date? Because if you're really looking for a date, you're not going to get one like that. Really, you're not? Well, you won't get one with me, that's for sure. But I had one who called me a sexy finance person. And I actually said, well, I'm not sure sexy and finance really go together, actually. And this is what he wrote, and I'm going to say it to you. Oh, yes, they do. Cum spilled over numbers is very erotic. I read that and went, ooh. Did I give you any indication? Did I give you any indication? No. So I don't know. So I actually, because I obviously replied. I replied quite flippant and sarcastic replies. It's my manner, So I said to him, yeah, I think you need to get up and have a good cold shower and perhaps a coffee. And he went, yes. And I went, good man. And he went, for you, yes. So I said, oh, just for me. Should I now plan the engagement, get the dress, and look at the new scatter cushions, And he went, oh, no, that'll make me run. And so I said, oh, well, your baggage all packed then. He said, I like you, witty and cheeky. And then he said, feisty little thing, aren't you? So I said, not really. I'm actually quite a boring and normal person. Do you know, he hasn't messaged me since. And I'm just like, can I give you guys out there a tip? Okay, if you are seriously looking for a woman, like seriously looking for someone that you're interested in, don't do the overtly sexual innuendo at the beginning. I mean, you can do it maybe a bit later, but don't do it at the beginning, because at the beginning is the time that you actually you want to spark some interest in someone, and you actually want to show that you're actually a decent person. So my suggestion is to you men is remember at the beginning you need to, oh, you can hear my chair creak. At the beginning you need to be on your best footing. Okay, so that's my little bit of snippet of advice. Be on your best footing, and you just never know what you might get. Yeah, I'm telling you, you just never know. And that's the thing that I find really puts me off is anybody that approaches me to do stuff, and they send me sort of overtly sexual content, and I just think, I'm a red hot blooded woman. Yes, of course, I partake in that activity as part of a natural loving life and blah, 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 when I have a natural loving person in it. But actually, if you want that kind of thing, I do, I've got to tell you what I do. I always do it. I send a link to Pornhub. So when anyone messages me and I just think, oh really, I just give them a link to Pornhub, and then they go, oh, do you want to watch it with me? And I'll go, no, I want you to visit there and I want you to get it out your system. Never hear from them again. I wonder why. It just makes me laugh. Yeah, so my dating thing is it's an interesting thing in my life. I don't, as I've said before, I don't take my dating apps seriously anymore, because I just think, oh my God. But I live in the hope that one day someone's going to send me a message that's just going to blow me away. Yeah, unlikely. I think 10 years ago, if someone had sent a message on a dating site, you stood a chance of getting something less perverted. These days, though, even your nicest guys and your women think that it's, I don't know, it's like Pornhub on tap, really, isn't it? And certainly Tinder is. I mean, Tinder is a matter of swipe. Oh yeah, I feel horny, I'm going to have you. And that's all the swiping I get. Although I will say, do you remember I went to France and I had a number of French people? Most of them turned out to be like that, but it took them a while to get to that point, which was quite nice. It was refreshing. English guys, you've got a few things to learn, seriously. So much to learn. But I've actually, one French dude has actually been very respectful, and in actual fact we're not looking at dating or anything, but we've added each other to our real life Facebooks and stuff, and he's got a family and I've got a family, so it's kind of like we're email buddies now. So chances of a date and things like that, no, but made a good friend. So every now and then we can have a little correspondence and a chat about our local area and send pictures of, stuff. And so that's quite nice. I mean, that's a positive that's come out of Tinder, which is quite a surprise, really. But no, we probably won't date because obviously different countries, and his interests are far. I mean, he does things like scuba diving and really sort of extreme sport type things, and I'm a lazy mare, so we're not an ideal match. He'd probably be like, oh, for God's sake, it's like being with my mother. So, but yeah, I just gotta love it. The world of dating, I just don't want to get out there anymore. I just think, oh, it's too much like hard work. But I should. My daughter's been going on at me lately, going, Mum, you should really get out there now. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because it's actually been about 18 months now, I think, since my last date. I know. The longest I've gone in my life. But I just think, you know what? I just really do have some expectations about people. And you know what? They're not ridiculous expectations. I want to be reasonably attracted. I don't have to be blown away by someone, actually, because as I get older, I learn visual is not as important. However, I still have to have a twig of interest in you visually, because that's how human beings work. We still want to look at something or someone. I say that's something, I don't mean like that, an object. But you still want to look, and you still want to go, yeah, you tick my box. So, that's fine. But I also want to know the person makes me smile. I want to know that the person has a shred of decency in them. I can talk to them. It's really important to be able to talk to someone, because you know what? There's no point being with someone who looks like a god and they can't speak anything intelligent out of their mouths. It works in reverse with women. You guys that want to date a Barbie doll, but she can't speak one intelligent sentence. Works in reverse. I do like a guy that can make me laugh, who can have a conversation. We can talk about all sorts of shit, and actually has something interesting going on in their lives. You don't have to have a mega interesting job, because let's face it, we all work for the money. But if you've tried to, or you do have one, that's even greater. But I just think being able to contribute to discussion means I would expect a person to be working, because it's kind of important, because I can't support you. I just can't. I can just about support myself. So, and I have had, like, oh God, every day I must get about 5 message me on Plenty of Fish, and they're unemployed. And I'm like, what part of me says I can support you? What part of me says that I even want to? Because I don't. I want that for a change myself. I want someone in my life to look after me as well as I look after them. So, no. So it's funny, is I'm telling you my criteria. What am I doing telling you my criteria? Oh, well, why not? So for me, and I think it's been 18 months since my last date, and I've got all these things that go on in my head about what I want, and it's probably the first time in my life that I've actually really contemplated what it is I want, because most of my life I've gone on, he rocks my world, and ended up in the odd relationship that was never perfect. I mean, I was married before. It was like that. It was, but the difference is that him and I are very good friends. I mean, we were very different, but we had children together, and that was our united bond. We haven't been together since 2003. We are extremely good friends. I'm really good friends with his partner. So that has worked out. And an actual fact, I think we were always destined to be friends, that's for sure. And we both play a part in both of our children's lives. It's unusual for people. They always say to me, how do you do that? And I mean, we do Christmases. We do Christmases together. I do Christmas, and his partner's there as well. She and him will come and visit me. I will go to his house. It's just all perfectly normal. We do things in a social setting as well, and it's fine. And I think it's one of those things, I think, that all parents, no matter what your marriage is like or your partnership is like, that when you're a parent, you really have to make it work. Because just because your relationship with each other has ended doesn't mean your relationship with your children. And you need to actually find a friendship. You need to work on that. And that is what we did. And honestly, I can say I love him and he can say he loves me, but we love each other as friends, and we will always look out for each other, and we'll always be there for each other. And that's what we need more of in this world, I think. We need more of people thinking beyond their own selfish feelings and just looking at actually the bigger picture. And the bigger picture for us was our children. Neither of us wanted our children to be affected by our breakup, and they basically never were, except my son was a little bit. He found it difficult, and I think he still does. Yeah, I think he still does, actually. Because I don't think he's particularly responsive to me having another partner, which is really interesting. My daughter is, obviously, but my son, no, not quite, which is really bizarre. I mean, he's taken to his dad's partner, but I guess it's that typical thing when you're the son and it's your mother. You can't imagine her. She's like the Virgin Mary. Do you know how long I've had to live like the Virgin Mary while my son's been living with me? He's 27 years old. He needs to move out now so that I can become like, Mary Magdalene. Because I really need to become like Mary Magdalene. It's just been far too long. But yeah. So yeah, it's just bizarre. So so my dating, I still persevere with that. But funnily enough, I see people on my Facebook. I see them on my virtual Facebook, funnily enough, not on my real life one. Because all the people on my real life one, I wouldn't want to date. Although I've got a lot of friends and friends of friends and stuff, none of them interest me. But I have actually seen some people on my virtual world one that I think, yeah. Well, because obviously they've got real life photos. I don't fancy I don't fancy avatars that much. Although I must admit, when I see an avatar, I mean, there are avatars I've seen, like one I mentioned earlier. I see avatars and I think, whoa, very sultry look. I like that look. But it's like, it's very hard to put it in my head. Because I differentiate avatar and people as well. So I know that I'm aware that the avatar isn't the person. The avatar is the person in terms of soul, but not in terms of how they look. And frankly, I couldn't really go out with a cartoon in real life. People would laugh at me. But there are people on my Facebook page that I look at, and I look at there's one. And he's a designer in Second Life. And I'm like, oh my God, there is a God. But I would never ever say anything because it'd be too embarrassing. But yeah, he's one hot studly muffin. He really is. So if you ever want to get into my Facebook and scour my Facebook, you'll find him. He's hot studly muffin. But yeah, 18 months. Oh my God, it's been 18 months. Yeah. I really am becoming that cat lady, aren't I? Oh God. No, I'm not really. I'm not as sad as I make out in terms of that. I fill my life up quite a lot, actually. And I think that's probably because I don't have a partner. I fill it up with so much. So I'm always busy. I'm always keeping at it. So like I said before, I'm not a TV watcher. I only watch one program every night for half an hour. Hollyoaks, in case you're wondering. It's a really sort of British soapy kind of serial, and I just watch that every night, and I normally eat my dinner around that time, and I just love watching it. It's addictive, and that kind of thing. When Walking Dead comes back on, I do watch that. I'm addicted to that. But normally what I do is I bank it up and I watch like 5 episodes in one sitting, because that show is addictive. Absolutely. So I do watch that. I have this thing about Negan. So if any one of you watch The Walking Dead, you will know who Negan is. Oh, he is my guilty pleasure. That man rocks my world. Not because he's an asshole. Not because of that, but there's something about the character, but actually the real life actor is just like, and I hope never does he never does he leave, basically. That was poor English. But I just his name is Jeffrey Dean Morgan in real life. So if anyone knows who he is, and can you just give him my number, please? Because I love him. The man is sex on legs. Yes, he is. Sex on legs. I had some fun on the weekend as well. I did a dance video as well as doing my narration stuff for Jackson Red Star. I did a dance video. And that was really good, because Susie Anderton asked me, is that all your bots? And I was like, my alt bots. And I was like, no, for once it wasn't, actually. I actually had Rosie Hellendale and Maddie Wyatt, 2 of the other YouTube bloggers, come in, and they came in as other personas. and you have to work out which ones they were. And we got together and I shot it on Saturday. So I had so much fun doing that, and we were like down in the hood we were. So it was funny. But yeah, I had a good laugh doing that. I was up really late on Saturday night doing it, and editing it, and I did like 3 edits of it, because like I sent it up to YouTube on unlisted, and I sent them the links. And I went, which one? Because I had different versions of it with different tracks, and so the final version is the cleaned up version, which is what I put out on YouTube, and I had so much fun doing that. I've missed doing that. That's because it used to be my Saturday night thing quite a while back. I would always do a dance video on a Saturday night. That was how my machinima life started in SL, was always to do a dance video on a Saturday night. And it was good fun to do it. So I think I might get back to doing that more regularly, and do that more often. Sometimes I think that I've been too much clothes vlogging, and I might cut back on some of my clothes vlogging, because there's only, as Harriet Parker said, Isa, who wants to look at Clothes Hut, and who cares if the pink lipstick turns red? Who cares? Yeah, I did Harriet Parker on Friday as well. Harriet Parker live. I think I'm turning into a split personality. Oh my God, I think I'm turning into a split personality. Do you know how many takes that took me to do? Because I'm sat here in my living room. My windows are open. And don't forget, my neighbours can hear me. And I'm sat here speaking as 2 people. And they're probably thinking, what the hell? Who's upstairs? Yeah. And I kept laughing, because I can't help but laugh. So every time I laughed, I had to like restart again. And I think I must have redone it probably about 6 or 7 times. So it's yeah, trying to take myself seriously was just a little bit of like hard work. But I had good fun doing it. Harriet Parker obviously is the disgruntled journalist. She really doesn't like her life at the moment. In case you hadn't guessed, she's a mighty peed off. Every time she does an interview, she's moaning. I do feel that she might end up going out on strike soon, and so she may need the union to come in. We will see. Anyhow, that's my rambling for today. I think I'm not going to make it as long as I did last week. I'm going to cut it short by about 12 or so minutes. Because who's got that much time to listen to one person, hey? Anyhow, thank you for watching. I will link to this sim, Bazinta, underneath my video, and it will also be linked in my blog. It's not ready for you to visit yet, but keep the link, because when it does come open, you are going to love it. It's a very thought-provoking sim. It's beautiful at the same time as being thought-provoking, and makes and you know, if you're anything like me, you like to look at things, and you like to. It's about learn. It's basically you learn something, and I certainly learned something doing the narration for it. And I'm going to be doing a whole lot of meditation. That's all I can say. Anyhow, have a really nice week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.